lesson, we're going to talk about executing the daily chart, how to line up the daily chart, what we're looking for on the daily chart, the whole nine. We're going to go over the trade plans. We're going to go over the trades. It was a real beautiful morning. Took a little bit to actually enter into the trades. I believe my first execution here was somewhere around 9:45. Yeah, like 15 minutes. I know it doesn't sound like a long time. Like 15 minutes is not a long time to wait for a proper trade plan to come into effect. But for us, we're generally executed within the first 5 minutes of the morning session. And then, get in, get out. And we're essentially done by about 30 minutes after the market open. So it still worked out in that timeline, but definitely took a little bit of patience. And that's something I think that is a lot of new traders find very difficult. So I don't want to ramble too much because it is Friday. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Let's just head into sharing the screen. Give me one quick sec. Okay, so now that we are into the charts, it was a really patient morning. You can see the levels that we were looking to execute here on SPY. So up in this area, and then in between these two levels is the previous close on Qs. That's important to note. So what we're looking for, if you look, I know that these charts are a little small up in here, but that level here on SPY, if you take a look, it's the previous close and then the previous close. So you have a volume zone that is backed by protection of 2 layers of protection. So that's what we're looking for. Now, some might be asking, well, why didn't you take the long? Well, I'm not interested in a long as we're pulling back after a big pop through all-time highs. What you want to do is wait for it to properly flag back. And if you miss the long, you miss the long. It's about the odds, where the odds are. It's not about developing a bias. It's funny. I don't want to stray too much here, but saw some video of, some supposed young day trader, and he's talking to some girl, and he's trying to sound like the smartest guy in the room about what he does and how he develops a bias, and then he executes according to the bias and all this. You don't want a bias. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, the truth is always within the words that you use. And I wish I had this clip to pull up because it's really rather ridiculous. And I think it's something that I just wanted to throw in this episode of the trade recaps, just because it's on my mind. It's something I see all the time. So anyways, now back into the charts. I think the reason why I brought that up is there's so many of these jokers out there, and you're not going to get anywhere. We have a ton of videos when it comes to mentality and the mindset of a trader. And it's really apparent that, traders that don't have that proper mindset, and you want to be the smartest guy in the room, you're going to fail over time. I think it's just a little side lesson and a little side note. So now back into the actual day trade here, taking a look at that level of resistance. We did not test that, but what I want to point your attention to is Qs. Qs had a dual layer of protection as well. And this area it's a range. And I said it could get stuck in there in the scans in the evening. And that's kind of what it did. It was a real quick getting stuck, but it rebounds. So I want to show you guys, if you follow my cursor, it pops through, pulls back, holds that level, pops up again. You see that natural movement? It's very easy to dictate what these stocks are going to do. And I always find it fascinating, the mechanics of the trade. A lot of people look at these charts like it's random. There's nothing random about this. And that's why a guy can be green day over day over day over day, if you actually understand and you care to understand how this works. So when you have these daily chart levels, you execute coming into that. Okay, you're looking for a first reaction. When you get your first reaction, so I executed into the first level, that's this. And then as it popped up into the second level, which is this, that's where I apply my pressure. And then I simply pay myself. Now, I had a fat finger on the exit while I was trying to get out the rest. I only had like 15 contracts. So it wasn't a big deal. But locking in $4,979 on this trade here. And then on SPY, although SPY, and here's the key point of this video lesson. If you have one of the two markets, either Qs or SPY, or vice versa, doesn't matter. If it is hitting a support or resistance level, the majority of the time, it would dictate that you're going to get the exact same reaction on that market. So even though, let's say you were really stalking SPY you really wanted, okay, maybe that's the only one that you had loaded in. You can execute SPY based off of Q's chart and vice versa. Understand? So don't be afraid to start in that little bit early. But if you do start in on Q's and SPY has that little bit of extra distance, Q's can go that little bit extra. So you have to watch both of those markets and both of those charts and be aware if one has a little bit of extra distance. Okay, so that's what I wanted to point out in this episode. And on SPY, executed the exact same way, started in coming into pre-market highs. It pulled back, didn't pay myself on that, wanted to wait for it. The next push is where I applied that pressure and then paid myself. So locking in $3,025 on that. So overall, really nice day, locking in about $7,000 on day trades, and couldn't be more happier the way that this week worked out. Members are absolutely crushing it, doing really well with our sizing program. If you want to learn how to trade consistently and professionally, come to tricktrades.com, and we will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Adios.